Toes, Grandma Grizz left a comment. I didn't know this. Toes worked with George Webb on the firefighting shooting, on the firefighter
Uh,
shooting. Did you?
yeah, I got chill bumps. I kind of don't want to talk about that, but it is
Okay.
important, and the only reason I'm gonna try to be as cautious as I can when talking about this because it actually hit home. Like I said, I'm from that area.
Yeah.
My kids know some of the other kids, and even my nieces and nephews that went to school in Coeur d'Alene. They all. It's a small world, and but my particular involvement with that really is none. But my daughter, fuck it, excuse me.
No, you're
I'll just
good.
come out and say it. My daughter was chilling at Coeur d'Alene Beach one day, and I don't have my notes in front of me to give you the exact dates, but this is about 2 weeks before that shooting occurred in Coeur d'Alene, right? And she leaves, like there was cops there, and they just started randomly picking up people that are like, yeah, we want to search your purse, we want to search your purse. And my daughter was like in the water when she realized that there was these like cops like kind of like going through her purse. So she comes out and she's like, what are you doing? They're like, oh yeah, we're doing alcohol checks. Anyway,
What?
so yeah. That's bro. I could tell you 1,000 stories about Idaho, bro. That's why I've been on this case not just since day one, but about a month before this happened when they did that Doug Wilson episode on NBC
Yep.
about the
I
dude.
remember that.
So about an hour or so after she left, my daughter's going through her purse and she finds his cell phone in her purse, right? Like a brand new like Apple cell phone. And so she goes through the phone and it's like so new where there's not like a lot of contacts in it. And there was one listed like as grandma. And so she called the granny and the grandma was like, yeah, that's my grandson's phone. And she gave her the mom's number. And so
What?
my daughter calls, yeah, and the mom lives like in Arizona. So my daughter calls mom like, hey, I got somebody's phone. They just like it was found in my purse, and she's like, oh, that's my son's phone, and yada yada yada. So my daughter calls me like I think that same night, and I'm like, Sadie, you need to like get rid of that phone. Like that they could be tracking you, because especially with the Apple phone. And at that time, my page was like way more active. You know what I mean? Because I that's why I stepped away from the scene because a lot of extra weird stuff started happening, dude. I think I was getting a little too close to
Okay.
the truth of things. And so come to fast forward, make a long story short, when that shooting occurred and when they announced the kid's name and when they found, I called my daughter, I'm like, Sadie, what was the name of the kid? And da 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 what? And she had told me, and I'm like, that's the same kid that was doing the shooting with the firefighters, that whole weird situation. And so I
Oh,
was the one that pretty much connected that. That's why George Webb was doing the episode about the phone and stuff like
whoa.
that.
That
Because,
was because of you.
yeah, I'm the one that, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Dude, I
yeah.
had goosebumps. Jesus, I
Dude,
watched that.
I do too, dude. Like I'll even, it's just, and the reason why I don't like talking about it because it's not about me, it's about my daughter. You know what I mean? So it's like, by all means, I have to like, protect my children. And it might have just
Wow.
been a weird coinky dink, but what's the odds that this, and even the situation with that kid that did that in Coeur d'Alene is just weird too. But what's the odds that his phone ends up in her purse like 2 weeks before this happened, and like
His phone was in your daughter's purse.
his phone was in my daughter's purse.
Just so everybody's understanding that clearly, the firefighter sniper's phone was in this man's daughter's purse after the police found it on the beach, it sounds like, and she was in the water and they were looking for alcohol. Jesus Christ. Dude, yeah, I mean, look, I full body chills right now. What came of it? Anything that you could share or no?
Um,
And don't feel pressure to. Seriously, I mean, I get that that's real. It's your daughter and stuff, but just what happened? What ended up happening?
It just actually I tried to reach out to the mother because my daughter was all freaked out when she realized the whole connection. You know what I mean? Like shit, I was the one that made her aware of it when, because that's what I do. I do
Oh my
investigative
God.
journalism. So it could be a stop sign. And I'm going to be like, oh, where did the paint come from? Where was it manufactured? And, how tall is it? So I overlook everything. But I tried to reach out to the mom after the fact, and she never responded. And I kind of preferred it that way because, like I said, I already had enough issues with the Idaho case and how close to home that was already getting. Like, my daughter worked, one of my other daughters worked with, like, earlier in the case, there was a gentleman that came out that said he lived in that house. And my daughter worked with him. You know what I mean? So there was just all these weird connections. One of my other daughters grew up with Xana's sister, Jasmine. So it's like there was just too many connections. And dude, I'm an easygoing person, and I want no problems in life. And so whatever happened there, it just really doesn't go any further than my feelings, and I just leave it at that. I don't really have any too much more to talk about it, but I did want to commend you on that video because I think that's a really important video that you did with that Amino Black. I think it really does prove. And like I said, with the lack of those lights being up there, it kind of more like, were those, yeah, that was the question I was going to ask. Like, those lights, were those ever entered in, were they ever inventoried? Like,
I don't think they were.
I don't think that they were either. And that's important because why, you can't spray that banister without spraying it in its original form, and if they remove those lights before or after, to me, it just more or less proves that it was a cleanup. And if it was a cleanup, then we got a big problem here.
And that, I mean, dude, first of all, amazing call, Toes. I gotta, if you have emailed me or if you hit me up on Discord, send me another message. Sometimes it gets lost in just a bunch of them. So send me a message, dude. I'd like to pick your brain on that. Maybe see if George Webb would be interested again. Not that we necessarily just have to talk about the phone, but I think that with the sheriff's warrant return and the firefighting incident, maybe it's going to come into play again. And I don't think that would be something that we should just forget about, given the timing of the plea deal happening right after this. Right. So I would love to chat with you offline, maybe set up a date if you would be interested with George. But I appreciate the call, bro. Stay safe. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And you got the best audience out there. Good show. Kudos up to you. And
thank you.
Yeah, keep doing good work, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
For sure.
Yep. Peace. Wow. That's the amazing part of these call-ins, Hive. It's awesome. I literally have chills and goosebumps all over my legs right now hearing that. I can't imagine that situation. So I will talk with Toes. I'll find some more info out on that, see if he'd be willing to share anything else. Talk with George Webb. It's been a minute since I've had him on the stream. I think George is great. Always been super nice to me. Always diving into stuff that's breaking. And I think what Toes finished with is a great way to wrap up the stream. And that's what he had said is, if there's a cleanup, we got problems. And that's why the theme or the thumbnail is busted. They are busted. And now the whole world's going to know about it. They tried to cover it up. Turns out we were right all along. And again, very rarely is the internet wrong in situations like this. So